So, more often than we think, self improvement is actually about the small and mundane things, the daily habits that you need to get right. And of course, it's really awesome to think about all these great things that you can accomplish in life and to have goals. Like, goals are awesome. And, like, let's say you want to become an entrepreneur. Well, then it's awesome to dream about being an entrepreneur. But actually, what's more important is putting in like the little work day by day, and that's the hardest part. And not even all these things that you need to do are actually interesting, and they're not actually even related to directly to what you are trying to do. Let's say if you're learning to code, like you want to learn how to code, and you got to do that daily, and it's going to be a bit boring at times, or maybe even often, because you got to put in the work. But that's not simply all there is to being successful in life. Like, it's not just about the contents of whatever you're trying to be or trying to become. More often than not, it's like about the habits, the daily habits, the micro habits, as they say, that are actually really mundane and boring, but have to happen. Like, you have to eat well. If you're living alone, I mean, some of you might be living with your parents, but if you live alone, you have to cook, and you have to do it day in, day out, and that's just the way it is. I mean, you can prepare like meal prepping, you can prepare stuff, but you always got to put in this work. You got to do your dishes. You got to go to the supermarket, buy stuff. You got to go to the gym. Even that might be more interesting maybe than going to the supermarket. But even that's going to be a lot of repetition, a lot of boring things to accomplish what you want. Because let's face it, like watching Netflix is a lot easier than going to the gym. But anyway, today's topic is not about going to the gym, and it's not about going to the supermarket, but it's about something that's similarly mundane, and that's teeth care. So um, normally you have to brush your teeth twice a day, and like clean your teeth maybe once a day, like the middle of your teeth, floss, whatever method you use. These dental sticks, I use kind of a dental stick. You do that once a day. That's generally the advice you get from your dentist. Um, and for some people, this might be the most self-explanatory thing in the world. Like, yeah, okay, I've been doing that since I was 6, and it's the most normal thing for me in the world. But I think a lot of people who are into like self-improvement, they have a past in which perhaps it was not that easy to just do these things. Like, it actually takes effort to do things well. And I think that for more people than you might think, a lot of these things like cooking, eating well, always making sure your supplies or you have your supplies at home, brushing your teeth, taking a shower every day, or wherever you live might be even more times a day, but just a basic minimum once a day. I mean, for some guys it might even be like if they're severely addicted, it might even be hard to just wear new clothes every day and make sure they get washed. And like it's almost like a funny topic to talk about, but it's actually in reality it's not so funny, because a lot of people struggle with these very basic things that should be the most simple, natural thing to us in our lives. But the reality of our lives is that it's not simply as basic and easy as it seems. Um, and I was just cleaning my teeth and brushing my teeth, and I noticed that like one of my back teeth on this side looked a little weird. So I investigated it a little bit, and I might have to go to the dentist for that. Um, but that's just, it's like part of the daily routine I have. I always check whether my teeth are all right, and like it might seem the most natural thing in the world, but for me it's actual effort to do that. So I have a background in porn addiction and hentai addiction and game addiction to some extent as well. And there were times that I would never really take care of my teeth. So I would maybe like once a day, once every 2 days, maybe brush my teeth with a traditional toothbrush, which actually gave me like this. I have a problem with my gums. Like my gums have withdrawn, um, and that cannot be fixed. So whenever I get, like when I drink cold water or something, it actually kind of hurts. So I tend to flush my mouth with, that sounds like a toilet, I'm not sure how to say that in English, but with warm water. because otherwise it's not very comfortable, and that's just the reality I have to live with. But these are like results of a time when I barely did anything for my teeth. When I would maybe like brush it a little bit, but it was never good enough. And even at some point I was so depressed that I spent like 4 years not going to the dentist. And when I finally went to the dentist, it was a disaster in terms of, well, it could be much worse. I guess I have strong teeth, but like in terms of cavities, it was a yes. There was some work to be done. And I'm saying all of this, and it's painful to say that you're not even capable of doing this basic stuff, but I really wasn't. And a lot of people who struggle with addiction, like this is the last thing on their mind. Like they're just on their dopamine machine. Like they just want this pleasure, this easy pleasure. And it's like anything that's worth doing is hard for them. And not just this. But by now, like I have thanks to self-improvement and developing discipline, I have this habit of doing this every day, almost without exception. Maybe sometimes if I'm ill or whatever, but I am always in control of this. And when I go to the dentist, I have zero problems. Also because I eat really healthy. And anyway, this is video. I did not. I'm not making this video to brag about my life, but there's just this bizarre difference between how I used to live and how a lot of guys who face addiction live, and where I am now. And this is all thanks to just a mental awareness that in order to live well, you got to put in the damn work. You got to be disciplined. You got to do also all the things you don't want to do every fucking day of your life. But that's where you're eventually going to find this pleasurable lifestyle of real pleasure, not the fake pleasure of dopamine induction and high stimulation, but the actual pleasure of feeling that you have your life under control every day. Yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say today in this video, and I'm experimenting a bit with lighting, so I feel like I look like a rabbit in front of it that's just about to be crushed by a car on the highway. But yes, I hope it's better than when you have like a bit of a blurry image. But I feel quite passionate about this topic, even though it's so mundane. But I think of especially those of you who have experienced being depressed. I also have autism, so I don't know if I mentioned that, but that makes these things even harder than for normal people, so to say. But I've got it under control now, and life is always going to be a struggle in a sense that you need to keep doing all these things you don't want to do, but eventually you know that doing those hard things makes you feel good, and it makes you feel much better about yourself, and you have all the mental peace you need to be uh, also doing like easier things, whatever, just listening to some music or something, and you feel like you're not postponing important things like procrastination, man. So that's what I wanted to say. Thanks for listening.